What is up, my dudes, and the one girl who for some reason thinks we're going car shopping? This is Bikes, Beards, and Brews. Let's kick that intro. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are talking about bad dealerships. So I know a lot of motovloggers, they talk about dealerships that they really like, and it looks like those dealerships are really cool, and high five to them. I think that's fantastic. I have dealerships that I like to go to. Quite honestly, I find myself up at Seacoast Harley-Davidson a lot. Honestly, I don't really buy too much from them, but I do like the people that work there, so I keep in touch with them. There's a few people there that I was friends with before I bought a Harley or got into Harleys, and you know, there's a few people I've met there since that are just really cool, so I like to stay in touch. Boston Harley has a couple people that I dig, and like I've done a little bit of business through them. I bought Betty through Boston Harley, so that's where she came from, and we bought my wife's Iron 883 from there as well. So yeah, I mean, there's good dealerships out there. I really want to talk about the horrible ones, and the ones that I want to talk about, one that specifically I had horrible dealings with years back, that was so bad it still bothers me today, and I still dump on them today because I have friends that have gone there recently, and quite honestly, nothing has changed. I'm not sure if I can just call them out by name because, well, this is going to be a negative sort of video. But it's not your dad, it's your they are a motorcycle dealership up here in New England. They have a fair amount of shops. The one that I had the worst experience with was down in the Foxboro, Mass area. I actually went there to buy my first Harley. I bought my 2013 Dyna Wide Glide there. So I should have known right from the start not to deal with these guys. Straight up, red flags everywhere, and I just ignored the hell out of them. So a lot of this is on me. I'm not making excuses for that at all. I'd been looking through a lot of different dealerships. I was looking for a wide glide. I knew that's what I wanted, and they were hard to track down. This was a few years back. It was before they ended the Dyna line. I think it was like the year before Dynas were ended. And you know, I was basically looking through everyone's inventory. I couldn't quite find one I liked. When I did see him, there wasn't one that really jumped out at me. I went to a few different dealerships, and there was nothing I was a big fan of. So I started looking for other alternatives. At this shop down in Foxboro, not your dad's, but they had a Super Glide. I think it was like a year or two older, so it didn't have the 103 in it. I think it was still the 96 or something cubic inch. But I was like, you know what, hey, I'll go down and check it out. It has like mid controls. I can, you know, throw forward controls on it. I can do this and that, and you know, I'll still be happy with it. It'll be cool. So I had called them, and before I even went down there, I was like, hey, you guys, I'm just checking, you do not have a wide glide, correct? And they're like, nope, no wide glides. I'm like, all right, well, I want to come down and check out the Super Glide. And they're like, sure, come on down. So I went down there. I was looking at the Super Glide. Nobody really was bugging me when I went in, so that part was cool. And then I ended up talking to a sales guy about the Super Glide, and as I was talking to him, I reiterated that, you know, ideally I'd love to find a wide glide, and he was like, yeah, we don't have any. Yep, there's just no around. Like, there was like there wasn't a high level of care there. And this store itself, they have multiple locations. So I mean, like, there wasn't even a, you know, hey guy, let me check stock and make sure there isn't one somewhere else. Let me make sure, you know, I can't find one for you or something. It was just like, this is what we have, take it or leave it. That should have been a red flag. So I told the sales guy, cool, you know, let's go with the Super Glide. And I started walking away from it, and as I did, I walked right by a 2013 Dyna Wide Glide. This Dyna Wide Glide. So, and I was like, dude, what's this? And he's like, oh yeah, that just came in. It's like, that is a wide glide. That is literally what I was just asking you for. That is what I told you I wanted. And you're acknowledging this as you knew it came in. Like, what the hell? Again, this should have been another red flag. But honestly, the bike looked almost identical to like what I wanted and what I was looking for. It had the 103 in it. The person who had it be like previous, they looked like they took care of it. You know, there's definitely some little bit of wear and tear on it, but whatever. It, like, the 8 hangers felt nice. It was actually my first foray into 8 hangers, so I thought I was going to replace them with drag bars and didn't much care, coming from sport bikes and stuff. But as I rode it, I was like, wow, this, you know, these are nice, cool. You know, there was some other cool stuff on it that I dug. I actually didn't do much aftermarket to it after I got it, because honestly, like, off the floor, this is where I wanted to be. It was cool. So this dealership, not your dad's, but they have on their website where they talk about, you know, when you purchase a used motorcycle from them, they go through it in detail. It's like the 5 billion point inspection or some crap. They give it an oil change. They go through it. They make sure everything's up and running and everything's the way it should be and all that. This will be important later in the story. So I went and filled out the paperwork. I knew at the time my credit wasn't the best, but you know, I had some money to put down, and part of buying this bike was to help build up my credit. So it was like, game on. And I told them that right out of the gate. You know, I told them what my credit score was and all this stuff. So they said, you know, hey, we're gonna have to look around for some banks and all this stuff, you know, hang tight. I was like, cool. So I just kind of roamed around, tried to leave them alone, and, you know, and just let them do their thing. This process took like 3 hours. I was just there, like, dying of boredom. And again, this really should have been a red flag. I mean, we live in the digital age. You can pretty much get answers a whole lot quicker than that. They ended up finding a finance company, and that's cool, whatever. I honestly didn't even ask for the price of the bike. I was so, like, into this bike. It was just like, whatever, I'm going for it. That was a mistake on my part. They ended up selling me the bike at, like, pretty much the cost of, like, a brand new, like, bike off the floor. It was pretty stupid. So I went through, I did all the paperwork. They gave me a list of stuff I had to do before they would start prepping the bike and getting it ready for me. I told them that I would take care of this stuff in the morning. It would be done. So I'd appreciate it if they start prepping it as soon as possible, because I'd like to take it home. They said it normally takes about a week. I said fine. So the very next day, I took care of all the insurance paperwork. I took care of all the loan paperwork. I took care of everything I needed, and I sent them everything they needed. And then I also called them to make sure that they had everything they needed. And they were like, yep, we're good, cool, you know, all this crap, we're good. So a week goes by, I go to pick up my bike. Before I go to pick it up, I give these guys a call and I go, hey man, I am coming down at this time. And it was like, I called them in the morning and it was like the end of the day that I was going to be coming in. So it wasn't even like, hey, you have 5 minutes to get this bike ready. And I was like, you know, I'm calling you to make sure that the bike's up and ready, everything's good, you don't need anything from me, there's no surprises, like this bike is ready to roll. And they're like, yep, good to go, everything's fine, come on down, come get your bike. And I was like, cool. So I got out of work, I went down to the dealership, which was not close to where I live at all. And I got there and they're like, oh yeah, hey, we still don't have your insurance paperwork. And I was like, dude, I've asked you guys twice about this now. I've asked you if you had this, if you needed anything, if everything's all set. And my insurance people are very easy to get a hold of, and I provided you all their information, so what's the problem? So they're like, oh yeah, we'll go look into that right now. I ended up spending another 3 hours at that dealership waiting to get my bike. They finally cleared all the insurance stuff, which should have been done days and days before. Or, you know, at least brought up to me that morning. And the person I talked to in the morning was the person I talked to in the evening to pick up the bike. So it's not even like a miscommunication thing. It was the same person. So I ended up taking the bike. I go to start leaving. And as I'm leaving, we realize that there's no key for the bike. And this should have been another red flag for me. And again, I was like, I just wanted this bike so bad that I just kept overlooking this stuff. I was like rage monster inside, but you know, it just wasn't like coming out. And it turned out that when the guy who traded it in, he didn't give any keys. They didn't figure this out till like another half an hour of them looking around trying to figure out if they misplaced the keys. This goes back to the whole thing of them talking about their multi-point inspection, making sure that, you know, everything is there and the bike's tip-top and there's no problems. Like, how do you misplace or realize you don't have keys for a bike? Especially when you have a checklist. It was insane. The other thing was, they were supposed to detail the bike before they gave it to me. During my 3 hours of waiting for this bike, I spent a lot of time walking around, and their little like work area isn't sectioned off. It's not like a back area. It's in the same room where they work on where they sell all their used bikes. I saw my bike just sitting there, and I saw it before it was ready for me, and it still looked pretty dirty. It kind of looked like the first day I saw it, except it had a new oil filter on it. The only reason why I knew that is because I took a picture of it the day I wanted to buy it, and then I looked at it the day I picked it up, and the oil filter was black the first time and chrome the second time. But it still looked pretty dirty. I watched them take the bike, bring it off to the side, and just kind of like spray it down with some quick wax and like call it a day. And that was their idea of detailing it, apparently. It was an awful job. So that entire like claim of detailing a bike was just a load of crap. Like straight up load of crap. So yeah, they're searching for the keys. They can't find the keys. They finally come back to me and they go, hey, we're gonna order you some new keys. Until then, tell you what, you can go pick out any caliper lock you want, and we'll just throw it in for you. And I was like, oh, so kind of you. Before that, they tried to tell me, they were like, well, you know, it's not a big deal. Most people don't lock their bike anyway. I was like, dude, I'm paying like the better part of $20,000 for a bike. I'm not gonna not lock my bike and hope it doesn't leave. So all of this happened, and after it happened, I had to fill out all the paperwork with like the money guy. And I was like, hey dude, I've had a really bad experience, and I went through everything that, you know, went wrong. Now for me, I understand things can go wrong. It's how you handle it that really, to me, shows what kind of company you are. Never once did the dude say, oh man, I'm sorry about that. Instead, he went into this whole tangent about how busy they are, how fast they're growing, how they're buying other dealerships, how just important they are. And I was like, this is insane, man. To the point where I was just, I felt kind of disgusted by it. I was like, you suck, man. So I got my bike and I just kind of got out of there. So after that, I went home and I was like, this is just crap, dude. And I noticed that the bike kind of ran not the greatest, so that was a concern for me as well. I ended up sending an email to the main shop, the one that's in Manchester, New Hampshire. You know, not Dad's, but. And I was like, hey, I had a really bad experience over at your other shop here, and I just want to talk to somebody management level that is not a part of that store. And that was my only request. Like, yeah, I went full-blown Karen, let me talk to your manager, but it was like not somebody in that Foxboro area store. So the Manchester store got my email and proceeded to forward it to the Foxboro area store, and their store manager reached out to me. And I was like, you have to be kidding me. And I was just so annoyed. And that dude was like, oh, hey, heard you had some problems. So I typed it all out in an email, because actually the conversation I had with the finance guy, I actually had with the manager on duty that night too, and he did the same thing. There was no like, oh man, I'm sorry about that, or like, honestly, just to say, hey, we're sorry, we messed up, let's fix this for you. That's really all I wanted. Like, I wasn't chasing like $5,000 off my bike. I wasn't trying to chase free crap. I just want you to be accountable, apologize, and, you know, just make good on a very horrible experience. So I have the store manager now, and I type everything out, because the other thing that was really annoying to me was a lot of times these guys would just kind of cut me off, which means you're not listening, you're just waiting to talk. And stuff like that just drives me nuts. Like, I like to have a conversation. I talk, you listen, you process it, you respond. You talk, I listen, I process it, I respond. That's a conversation. That's how things work. So when you sit there and just start cutting me off and talking over me, we're not having a conversation. And it's very annoying. So, you know, I typed everything out, a couple paragraphs. It was a little long, but I was just like, hey man, you know, it's just ridiculous, and really, I just want you guys to make good on this. So the store manager comes back and he goes, well, I'm going to keep this email. This is a great learning experience for my staff. We're going to use this in training. And it's like, what the hell? And he's like, so what can I do for you? What can I do to make this right? And all that stuff. And again, I didn't want this to feel like it was me trying to like squeeze something out of them. I didn't want them to feel like I was trying to, scam the system or something. I see people do that all the time, whether they are in the right or wrong. I always see people do that. I've worked in, businesses where people pretend that they had a horrible experience just to try and get something. So I never want to be that person. So I was like, hey man, here's the thing. You know what happened? As I told you everything that happened. You know the position I'm in right now. You know how I feel about the whole thing. I'm going to leave it up to you. I want you to do what you feel is right and what you feel is right for the situation. So he responded with, oh hey, we have your keys, you can come pick them up or we can mail them to you. And I was like, you can mail those to me, I'm not driving down there anymore. And I actually made them transfer my warranty coverage to a store closer to me, just because I didn't ever want to go back there again. And I told them straight up I didn't want to go back there. And that was literally the end of it for that store manager. Like, he was like, here's the keys that, we should have had for you day one. And apparently he decided that that's what the situation called for. And, I mean, honestly, like I said, I've been in, like, a business like that before. If I was in his shoes, I maybe would have at least, I don't know, sent a t-shirt, some stickers or something, just something. But the whole, like, just disregard for things, I was like, this is awful. And quite honestly, like, I will never buy anything from them again because of what a horrible experience I had there. And I've told friends about this, and I've warned friends about this, and this is actually one of the reasons why you will probably never see me ride an Indian. Is I think most or all the Indian dealerships around here are owned by that company, and I would never want to go through and deal with them again. They were just so bad. It was such a miserable experience. And I mean, I have friends who have bought Indians, and they bought Indians through that company, and before they bought them, I warned them about that company, and they were like, oh well, it's a new bike, it shouldn't have these problems. And then they've actually come back to me and they're like, dude, it has been nothing but a nightmare working with them. Like, one of my friends had like handlebar issues where it was actually chipping the paint on his gas tank because something was not lined up correctly. It took this company, not your dad's company, but it took them around 6 months to fix the issue for him. Now this thing is, the handlebars are literally banging on the gas tank and chipping the paint. And they didn't even fix his gas tank right away. That was just to fix the handlebars. It took like 6 months. That is absurd. That is insane. So that's my horror story. But down below, have you had some bad experiences? Have you had those red flags you've ignored? Let me know. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll see you all on the flip side.